Good morning, class. I'm Teacher David, your business teacher from 2 West. Today, we are going to dive into a fascinating topic that impacts not just businesses, but our daily lives. That is transport. Think about it. How do goods get to their favorite stores? How do people move from one place to another for work or school? Transport plays a vital role in connecting people, businesses, and markets. Let me ask you this. Can you imagine what would happen if there were no transport? How would farmers in rural areas get their produce to the cities like Nairobi? How will businesses operate without a way to send their product to customers? Take a moment and think about how transport affects your life. Today, we'll explore the following key areas. One, the importance of transport to business, why it is so crucial for economic activities. Two, the essential elements that makes transport effective and efficient. Three, the various modes of transport such as road, rail, water, air, and pipelines. Four, the factors businesses consider when choosing the most appropriate means of transport. And finally, we look at the latest trends in transport, including how technology is transforming the way goods and people move. Learners, this topic is not just about learning concepts. It's about understanding the world around you. And by the end of this lesson, you'll see how transport links businesses to customers, enhances trade, and even shape the global economy. So learners, let's get started. Okay, let us write the definition of transport. Transport refers to the movement of goods or people from one place to another. Transport refers to the movement of goods or people from one place to another. Transport enables the availing of goods and services to consumers at places convenient to them. So transport therefore helps in bridging the geographical gap between the producer and consumer. Transport facilitates trade. It's an aid to trade that creates place utility. Are we together, learners? So let's dive into importance of transport to businesses. So the first importance of transport to businesses is that links consumer to producers. Links consumers to producers. So in details, we can say that transport links consumers to producers, hence enabling consumers obtain the goods they need. For example, think of a farmer in Kitale growing maize. Without transport, the harvest will not be reached market in Nairobi, Kisumu, or Mombasa. Imagine a shoe factory in Eldoret. Without trucks, to deliver their products, will you see their shoes in your local stores? No. So, transport ensures that what is made in one place reaches the people who need it. So, transport links consumers to producers. Next, transport creates employment. Write it down. Transport creates employment. So, transport helps in creation of job opportunities. It creates job for drivers, pilots, mechanics, road constructors, etc. For instance, my good learners, a boda industry in Kenya employs thousands of riders who rely on transport for their livelihood. So it creates employment. The third importance of transport is that it promotes specialization. That is to say, transport allows businesses to focus on what they do best while relying on the others for distribution. For instance, learners, a bakery in Baraton can focus on baking bread, knowing that transport services will deliver it to different stores. Have we understood? So the next part is that it increases the usefulness of commodities. So goods gain values when moved into places where they are needed. Goods gain values when moved to places where they are needed. Who can tell me how goods gain values? Kamau? Yes, Kamau? Yeah, thank you. So Kamau has said sugarcane in Kisumu might not be very useful until transported to a sugar factory in Kakamega. My learners, how useful is an umbrella in a dry desert? Now think about its usefulness when transported to a rainy areas. So that's why we say that transport increases the usefulness of commodities. The next one is that it improves people's living standard. It improves people's standard of living. That is to say, transport provides access to a variety of goods, making life more comfortable. Transport ensures that fresh fish from Lake Victoria can be enjoyed in Nairobi, improving diets and nutrition. So learners, again, I would like to ask you, what's the farthest, I mean longest place food on your table might have traveled from? Good. Next is that transport widens the market for goods and services. Therefore, producers can reach customers far away, increasing sales and profits. Kenyan tea is transported to Europe. Are you aware of that? And Asia, creating the global market. The next point is that transport increases the volume of production. Transport increases the volume of production. With a wider market, producers can scale up their production. For example, Dairy farmers in Nyeri can produce more milk because they can know it can be transported to transporting plants like Brookside. Another point is that transport ensures avoidance of wastage. We can say avoids wastage. Therefore, transport ensures surplus goods are distributed to areas where they are needed. Excess tomatoes in Kirinyaga. How many come from Kirinyaga County? Oh, good. Can be transported to Nairobi to prevent spoilage. The last point, learners, but not limited to that, about the importance of business transport is that it promotes the development of industries. Transport brings raw materials to factories and delivers finished products to markets, stimulating industrial growth. So, who can state the five importance of transport? Yes, Sharon? Yes, be audible enough so that learners can hear you. Nice. Clap for her. Sharon has said that transport links consumers to producers, creates employment, promotes specialization, increases the usefulness of commodities, improves people's living standard, and she has said that it widens the market for goods and services. So therefore, eh, I would like to move to the next heading, that is ways in which transport promotes trade. Ways in which transport promotes trade. Firstly, transport promotes trade by distribution of finished goods. It moves goods from factories to consumers. Next, transportation of labor. Transportation of labor, that's to say, it brings workers to factories and farms, thereby it promotes trade. Next, movement of raw materials. Supplies industries with inputs like coffees, beans, and minerals. So transport supplies industries with inputs like coffees, beans, and minerals. Next is that it widens markets, facilitates, facilitates international trade. So learners, I would like to dive into the essential elements of transport. Elements of transport are factors that must be in place for transportation to take place. These include unit of carriage, method of propulsion, ways, and terminus. So we have unit of carriage, method of propulsion, way, terminals. So let's start with the unit of carriage. Unit of carriage is anything used to carry goods and people. Examples: ships, trucks, bicycle, and even donkeys. Learners, in Turkana, camels are used to carry water and goods across the desert where vehicles can't operate. Next is method of propulsion. Method of propulsion refers to the source of power that moves the unit of carriage. For example, petroleum fuels cars electricity power trains, human energy moves bicycle. Next is ways, which sometimes can be called as routes. Ways are parts used for transport. They include road, railway, sea, and even airways. So they can be classified into two categories, that is natural ways and man-made ways. Natural ways include sea routes and airways. Natural ways, learners, it means that they are not man-made. Next way is man-made ways. Man-made ways, these are ways that are made by human beings. They include roads, bridges, and canals. So I would like to ask you, these learners, what are the advantages of airways being a natural way? And why don't we need to build our air? Next, it's terminals. Terminal refers to place where loading and unloading occurs. For instance, you have come to my business, you have bought goods, and now the goods are bulky or are heavy for you to carry. So as a businessman, I'll offer you a truck to carry your commodities and goods. Therefore, the place where the goods have come from is now called the loading point. And at your place where I'm going to deliver your goods is called unloading point. So that's now a terminal. For example, a bus stations, airports, seaports. The Nairobi Railway Terminus connects Kenya to New Market through the SGR, making the movement of goods much faster. So I like to move to an interesting part, that is mode of transport. Mode of transport. Are very good. Mode of transport refers to the manner in which transport is carried out. For instance, transport can be carried out through air, on water, or on land. There are three modes of transport, namely land transport, water transport, and air transport. Let's start with land transport. Land transport, this mode of transport involves movement of goods and people using units of carriage that they move on dry lands. Means of transport under land transport. The various means of transport under land transport include human porterage, carts, vehicles, trains, pipelines. So let's start from human porterage. Human porterage, this involves human beings carrying goods on their shoulders, heads, or back as they transport them from one place to another. It is the oldest but still very common means of transport. It is suitable for carrying light goods over short distances. It is a major advantage is that it can access places where other means of transport cannot access. So learners, the advantages of human portrayal includes it is always available, it supplements other means of transport, it is flexible since it does not have a fixed timetable, it may be cheaper compared to the means of transport, it is convenient over short distances. We can have demerits or disadvantages of human portrayal. One, it is not suitable for long distances. It increases congestion on roads. It's not suitable for transporting heavy and bulk goods. It is relatively slow. It relies on human energy, which can be exhausted. So I like to brainstorm you by telling me the reasons for the popularity of human portrayal. Yes, Joseph? Yes, I urge you to be audible so that we can get you. Oh, nice. So Joseph has said that the reason for the popularity of human portrayal is that it requires low or no running expenses. That was correct. Another point that Joseph said that is that it is highly flexible in terms of time and routes. Next, Joseph said that it is economical for small quantities over short distance. It is readily available. And lastly, he said it can access places where other means of transport cannot access. Clap for him. So now we move to cats. Cats are open vessels which move on two or four wheels and are pulled or pushed by human beings or by animals such as donkeys. The cats that are pushed or pulled by human beings are referred to as handcats or mikokoteni. Are you conversant with that? The ones pulled by animals are called animal-driven cats. Compared to human portrayal, cats can carry relatively large quantities of goods. They are, however, slow, hence not suitable for long distances. So, Jane, can you tell us the advantages of cats? Yes, thank you, Jane. Jane has said that they complement other means of transport. They are relatively cheap to hire. Initial buying and maintenance cost is relatively low. They are readily available. They can fairly heavier and bulk. They can fairly carry heavier and bulk goods. They are convenient for transporting goods over short distances. So the disadvantages of cars I want to give you learners, they may not be suitable for transporting very heavy and very bulk goods. They contribute to congestion on roads. They are not suitable for transporting goods over long distances. Yes. Next, we are going to vehicles. These are means of transport where the units of carriage ferry goods and people on roads. Vehicles are most commonly used means of transport here in Kenya. Vehicles are either passenger or goods carriers. Passenger carriers includes buses, matatus, taxi, private cars, etc. While goods carriers includes lorries, tankers, trailers, etc. Vehicles may be expensive to acquire and maintain. Matatus, another point, this is a special category of vehicles on Kenyan roads. Matatus are privately owned passengers vehicles that are mostly used to supplement big transport companies. The advantages of matatus include they supplement big transport companies, e.g., bus companies, especially in rural areas. They save time since they fill up faster. They move more flexible since they mostly don't follow fixed routes. They can access the rural areas, hence where buses do not access. They are readily available, and lastly, they are cheaper compared to buses. Disadvantages of matatus, they include some matatus are poorly maintained, making them unroadworthy. The next, they can be subjected to reckless driving as drivers rush to pick passengers, causing accidents, thereby uh, enhancing loss of lives. They may cause noise pollution due to unnecessary hooting and loud music. Sometimes you can get some buses with loud music such as Angukanayo that can cause pollution to the people who live near the roads. Next one is that they may cause unnecessary congestion in towns, that is due to careless driving and parking. And lastly, they may increase fares suddenly, especially during peak hours, thereby inconveniencing travelers. For example, assuming to close the schools, the matatu owners may decide to hike prices so that they can take advantages of closing of schools to raise prices and overpay you. Now, I'd like to show you the reasons for the popularity of matatus. The first one is that they feel faster. They do not require large amount of capital to acquire compared to buses. They don't follow fixed schedule, hence preferred by many people. They access many areas where other means of transport may not access. They are readily available. Now, we are going to tackle the advantage of vehicles. They are readily available. They are relatively faster compared to cars and human portrayal. They are relatively cheaper over short distances. Vehicles can be modified to transport special categories of goods. They can access most parts where roads are constructed. So we can we also have the disadvantages of vehicles since we cannot have only advantages. So the disadvantages include acquisition and maintenance costs may be relatively higher. They may not be suitable for transporting heavy and bulk goods. They are affected by traffic jams on roads resulting into delays. Vehicle transport is prone to accidents. Some roads may not be impassable during bad weather, e.g., during rainy season. Reasons for the popularity of road transport. Roads are available in most parts of the country. It is flexible since means of transport used can offer door-to-door services. There is wide variety of vehicles and it is cheaper over short distances. And lastly, means of transport used mostly have flexible schedules. Therefore, learners, we have come to the end of today's lesson. And transport is more than just moving goods and peoples. It is a lifeline of businesses and economies. It links producers and consumers, creates jobs, trade, promotes trade, and drives industrial development. Without transport learners, businesses would struggle to reach markets and we will not enjoy the variety of goods and services we have today. As we have seen, each mode of transport has its unique advantages and challenges, but together they form a system that powers the movement of goods, services, and people. Think about this. Every product you use, every services you access, and even the way you travel is made possible because of transport. As the world evolved, trends like green energy and advanced technology are shaping transport for the future. So, the next time you see the truck, a train, or even a pipeline, remember how crucial they are in our daily lives and to business around the world. Before we end, I, I, will, I want you to reflect. Which mode of transport do you think is most important for business in Kenya today and why? Let's hear your thoughts. As we wrap up today's lesson, I hope now you understand the vital role of transport plays in connecting businesses and improving our lives. Remember, transport is not just about movement, it's about creating opportunities and making the world a smaller, more connected place. In our next class, we'll take this discussion further as we explore that's water transport. We look at how ships, boats, and ferries are used in Kenya and globally, their advantages, challenges, and how they contribute to international trade. To prepare, think about this. Why do you think Kenya's coastline is so important for the country's economy? Also, can you name some famous ports in Kenya and the goods transported through them? Let's meet next time to answer these questions and learn even more. Thank you and have a nice day.